Good to you and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. This morning on Perspectives, we shall discuss the cost of living and minimum wage negotiations. That is a national minimum wage negotiations. Negotiations for the national minimum wage have been ongoing for quite a long time now. Labor leaders are already alleging that it is becoming a prolonged discussion between them and the federal government. Remember, earlier this year, the federal government constituted a tripartite national committee to review the national minimum wage. The committee is made up of representatives of the federal government, the state government, the organized labor, as well as the private sector persons are also represented. Negotiations are ongoing. The federal government have made proposals which the organized labor have turned down 2 consecutive times. And Nigerians have also been lamenting over the high cost of living. How are Nigerians faring? And what is the position of the organized labor at the moment? Is there sincerity on the part of government with regards to reviewing the national minimum wage, offering a package that will be acceptable for the Nigerian workers and, of course, will make impact on the lives of all citizens? This and more will form the basis of our discussion this morning on Perspectives as we will dive into this issue. We've been joined here in the studio by 2 analysts who will share their thoughts with us on this issue. First is the Benue State Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating Councils 1, 2, and 3, Comrade Aloysius Umaja. He's a labor leader. He is here. Welcome to the studio, Comrade Umaja.
Thank you, Nathaniel, and thank you, Benue people.
Also with us is a seasoned public affairs analyst and a lecturer in the Department of Geography at the Benue State University, Makurdi, Dr. Terngu Anule. Welcome to our studio, Dr. Anule.
Good morning, listeners, and thank you, Nathaniel, for bringing me to you.
Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Nathaniel Nongu, welcoming you to this Friday edition of Perspectives. And if this is your first time tuning into Perspectives, kindly be informed that it is an audience participatory program, which you have the opportunity to call in or send a message to contribute on the issue we are discussing. The program enjoys airtime from now to 11 a.m. and usually at 10 o'clock the line for calls is availed to the public, so you can call in and let your views be heard on the issue. The numbers through which you can reach us at 10 o'clock for calls is 0814-335-9292, 0814-335-9292, and the one for text messages and WhatsApp chats is 0912-699-9404, 0912-699-9404. If you are sending a message to that line, please remember to include your name and the location you are sending it from, and kindly keep your messages very brief as well. The line is activated soon as we begin the engagement. That is the one for text messages. And you may also follow the live stream of this program on all our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube, and also on the website on www.agetradiotv.com. If you log on to the website, please go to the top right corner. You see a radio icon there. Click on it and you'll be sure to listen to us live. Also on your Radio Garden device, if you have your device and the Radio Garden app is there, you also access Agate Radio content there. Our discussants, Dr. Comrade Umaja, I'd like to begin with you. Negotiations for the national minimum wage have been going on. What is the position so far between the organized labor and the federal government?
Thank you once again, Nathaniel, and listeners. Like you have actually highlighted in your opening remarks, the negotiation is still ongoing, and the fact is that the organized labor on their own part have expressed a lot of dissatisfactions with the way and manner the representative of the government is handling the issue because of insincerity on their part. Though negotiation is not something that maybe when you put a presentations or a demand before, they should just go expressly and approve it. But however, there are certain parameters, indices that needed to be addressed, and such as inflations, cost of livings, and the exchange of dollars and all the rest, which are supposed to be considered, were not actually being put in place by what government is submitting right away. But though we know that at the end of the day, definitely there will be a resolution. That is my thing. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Anule, you have also followed keenly. You are a unionist in your own right from the ASU extraction. What can you say about these negotiations that have been going on for the new national minimum wage, as we have seen, between the organized labor and the federal government?
Thank you once again, Nathaniel, and good morning to listeners. I was highlighted by the labor leader, the negotiations have been going on, and this did not start until there were a lot of agitations from the organized labor based on the realities that the country has found itself, occasioned by, first of all, by the global economic situation, and then worsened by the policies of the current government, which on open assumption of office removed subsidy, which and on petroleum products, and also the unmitigated increases in prices of in cost of electricity. They have brought about the inflation that we experience. The negotiations have commenced after a lot of pressure from labor, and for a start, I will say that I'm not impressed with the commitment of government, particularly with regards to what they are doing to bring it to a conclusion. I'm not impressed because what they have put on table, first of all, the delay was too much, it was unwarranted, and then even with the commencement, the progress is so disappointing to workers, and I believe that more effort will be put in place to bring it to a fruitful conclusion.
Okay, Comr Umaja, I am back to you. Would you say there is a commitment from the part of government and organized labor with regards to having a middle ground to arrive at a minimum wage that will be acceptable by both parties?
Yeah, why I said the commitment from the side of the government is not encouraging is because you will recall that after a lot of pressures from the organized labor, and a tripartite committee was set up by the federal government to look at issues and how they could arrive at a minimum wage. There was a public hearing across the 6 geopolitical zones where inputs were gathered from publics and how they can arrive at a particular amount of money. Having done that, having spent a lot of money, you are also aware about the amount of money that was released by the federal government to see how they can, in terms of handling the negotiations. And at the end of the day, coming to the conclusion, because this is the concluding part of the whole exercise, we are having carried out all those analyses and public hearing. You have your data, you have collected all your data, and you have presented a demand. The demand presented by the organized labor is based on certain parameters and indices, such as, like I've highly mentioned, you are aware that the minimum wage is a constitutional matter. It's on the exclusive list, and as such, whether there is an inflation or not, at the end of every 5 years, you must review the minimum wage. That is a constitutional matter. So, coupled with the inflations and the policies of present government, like the removal of fuel subsidy, which has affected virtually every economic factors in the country, such as transportations, feeding, medicals, even schools, have also affected the way public and civil servants are living. As such, there is supposed to be a kind of a tremendous increase in their wages. Those are the factors that have been put in place by the organized labor to the federal government. Now, federal government that is already paying certain amount of money to civil servant is coming out with something that is not tenable to the society. That is the way we look at it. What they are presenting, even though you are on a negotiating table and you felt that what these people have given to you is outrageous or is too much according to them, what are the parameters the federal government are using in making these presentations? What indices have they considered? Now you want to increase a wage bill to the public servant. What are those things that you have put in place? Okay, because of this and this, we are making this kind of offer to the public servant. Such indices were not presented. And also I want to draw your attention that if you look at the political class, what the appointee of governments are collecting, what they are their monument as salaries, allowances, domestic allowances, transport, and all those things. If you put it together, it's outrageous considering what the workers in Nigeria are collecting. Okay, let us do the kind of analysis within the African sub-region or the West African country. Nigeria presently is collecting the least minimum wage in the country if we use dollars exchange rate as a medium of comparisons. Now, but we will also discover that what the political appointees are collecting in the whole West Africa is higher than all the countries in West Africa, and even in the European countries. So the issue is not balanced. So if they want to feel that the amount of money that public servants are supposed to be collecting is supposed to be that meager, then I think the best thing they should do is to revert back to the center. They should slash down what they are paying to themselves, because we voted them in, we are part of the governance. And who is actually doing the job? Is it the politicians who just go there are just policies? But the civil servants are the one actually doing the work, and you don't want to pay them. So these are some of the issues that made us to say that they are not sincere in the process of this negotiation.
Okay, Dr. Anule, I am back to you now. Looking at this whole issue, what has triggered the new negotiations for the national minimum wage, as pointed out by your colleague, is that it has to be reviewed. It's a constitutional issue. 30,000 naira was being paid earlier as a national minimum wage. What factors would you say will really necessitate reviewing this national minimum wage of 30,000 naira that is yet to be implemented by some states?
Yeah, like he said, it's a constitutional matter first of all. So without any other factors coming into place, it has to be reviewed because it is a provision of the law. But that aside, even if it was not a provision of the law, the reality of the time has made it imperative that it should be reviewed. The basis, the formulators of the law envisage this situation. They consider that it is not possible for situations to remain the same over a long period of time, and so they felt that the minimum wage should be reviewed to reflect the realities of the time. And more so now, the situation now is even more dire. It's more dire because the cost of the cost of items across board, be it transportation, healthcare, everything, whatever it needs for a worker to have to live well, is out of reach of the average worker. So if you expect a worker to deliver the goods, to work efficiently, you have to make the environment conducive. And how do you perform optimally in your workplace when you cannot afford the basic necessities of life, like food, like shelter, like healthcare, and so on? With the meager minimum wage of 30,000 naira that has been in place for over 5 years, can we realistically say a Nigerian worker will be able to feed himself and his family, provide this other basic necessity of life, and be able to perform optimally in office? And the answer is no. The political office holders know about it, and that is why they constantly review their own wages. Their wages, like the labor leader said, they are outrageous. They are out of the normal, because if they are sincere, they will also make adjustments to reflect the reality of the times. Now, by prioritizing their own welfare and providing lip service to the welfare of others, like a majority of workers, it goes to show that they consider the workers as less Nigerian. They consider themselves as more important, and it ought not be so. They were all stakeholders in this Nigerian project. Everybody should be taken care of for him to contribute his or her quota to the overall progress of the country. So it's very unrealistic for them to expect that 30,000 naira at this time, which cannot even serve sufficiently for any of the single items like transport, should be what a Nigerian worker should be taking home for. And it is a realization of this that the federal government, even before the negotiations commenced, offered a stopgap, a palliative. They gave their workers 35,000 naira on top of the minimum wage. At the time the 35,000 naira was announced and implemented.
What they called wage award?
Wage award. At the time it was announced, I understand the least federal government worker was collecting 42,000 naira. So if you add 32,000 naira to it, now the take-home pay of a federal government worker at the moment with that wage award will be 77,000 naira. Now, a reasonable person would assume that that would be even the starting point for any further negotiation, and then for us to meet a situation where the same federal government that is currently paying the least federal government workers 77,000 naira now propose 54,000 naira. So it goes to show the lack of sincerity in the entire process. And I believe what they intend to do is to keep the workers busy negotiating and buy as much time as possible, and it's very, very uncalled for.
Okay, comrade.
Yeah.
The proposal so far made by the federal government in the negotiation for the new national minimum wage, they have made two proposals. First was 54,000, and as of Thursday, offer of 57,000. What is the position of the organized labor from what you have followed?
Yeah, thank you very much. You recall that the initial proposal by the organized labor was 615,000 naira. That was what was submitted to the federal government as a demand by the organized labor. When they met, and there was an offer by the federal government of the initial 48,000 naira, and the subsequent issue of 57,000 naira. Labor, on their part, have reduced their demand to 500,000 naira. As it stands now, that is the demand and the position of the organized labor. And like he has actually pointed out, Doctor actually highlighted recently, just now, you see, if you come out with a word called wage award because of the hardship on the workers that you are paying, initially 30,000 naira, and there was a consolidated review of salary recently last year with the 35,000 naira. That was what gave birth to the 77,000 naira that he's referring to. Now you have been paying this amount of money, even from the private sector. What the private sector have offered is even higher than what the federal government is even offering on the table. So we look at it that the way this whole thing is going, I think it's a delay tactics just to keep you busy, and that is why the labor have issued that no matter how this issue goes, it must end before end of this month. That no matter the situation, they must come to a conclusion and seal the issue of the negotiation before the end of the month. So we are waiting the directive from the national leadership of the organized labor to see the next line of action. But what we are saying to Nigerians and even those in the affairs of governance is that they should be sincere. They should be sincere so that we don't overdrag ourselves this much. We also understand what is happening in the country. Everybody knows the situation in the country. But let us see the sincerity on your part. Let us see how you are coming out looking, just like he has pointed out. What you are paying me now, we have come out with a committee, and you have started less than that. I don't understand whether they are actually, whether they mean business. That is the problem of organized labor as it stands now. So if they are sincere, and that is why I begin to hear the issue of the workout and all this, because I'm talking to you with facts and figures, with references. You just come up and say, I'm going to pay you this, as if we are not humans. I think this is the basis of the whole problem.
Okay, Dr. Anule, the proposal made by the federal government, does it reflect the actual cost of living Nigerian workers and citizens in general are passing through?
Absolutely not. And please don't quote me. Even start from the federal government's own point of view. And I believe that in making the offer of the 35,000 naira wage award, they realized that at the minimum, that should be where a Nigerian worker should be. Even that one was a far cry, but even at the minimum. So the offer of now 57,000, because they added 3,000, ridiculously added 3,000 a few days back, and which caused Labour also to reduce from 500,000 to 497,000 by the same margin. That's the latest that I found recently. So the federal government themselves, by their action, realize that the amount they are offering now of 57,000 is a far cry, because it is even less than what they even currently paying their workers. But that aside, it's common sense that everything, every item, whatever we need to survive in this country has gone up astronomically. It's not just by adding a few kobo. Some of the costs have increased by as much as threefold. We have fuel prices, for instance. At what rate were we buying fuel when the government came in, and now we are buying fuel at between 750 to 850 or thereabout, and sometimes even 900. Now that's not an increase of 10%, 20%. That's about 300-400% increase, and these are that is the basis for any offer. Like he pointed out, the organized labor came out with those ratios. It came out with the rates that have of things that have increased across board, and made a comprehensive analysis of the situation that led to the offer they brought on the table. At the minimum, the federal government team, if they were to be serious-minded, they are supposed to respond in the same light, to say that yes, they acknowledge the position of the organized labor. This is the reality. They don't necessarily need to go back and be arguing about the cost of items. That one is a given. They can also bring to the table the reality in terms of the funding, because it's not a one-sided thing. If the federal government accepts the offer from labor and they have no ability to pay, that is also a problem. It will lead to further confusion and crisis. So I believe the federal government also looking at the capacity to pay, not just from the federal government, but state and even private sector. So it's reasonable to believe that they will not accept the entire amount that was proposed by the organized labor, but they on their part ought to bring the facts behind their proposals, to say that this is what we have offered is based on this and this and this. That is how negotiation proceeds, not to just come and dump a figure and move away. It's highly disappointing, and it doesn't point to the seriousness of government. You can imagine the budget of the committee alone. Of course, it's supposed to be an official document, top secret, but of course it was in the public domain one way or the other, and we saw the humongous amount that was proposed just for the committee sitting. So the amount should have spurred them to do a thorough job, not to just come and, do you need 1 billion naira for people to just come and propose, to come and tell workers that you have been offered 57,000 naira without any explanation? You need that amount of money for that to happen? And the answer is no. So I think government should take the labor more seriously, and they should consider that this group is representing the bulk of Nigerians, a large chunk of the people whose lives matter. It's not only the people who are in political class that should be considered when we are talking about Nigeria. Everybody's life matter, and the organized labor have a case as Nigerians to demand for a living wage that will make them productive, because it is only when you make them productive, you give them the right incentives, the right wage, that you can demand for good service. So once you don't put in your own part of the bargain, you can't expect anything good. And the government also pontificates about corruption. They talk about tackling corruption. How can you really tackle corruption when you have put somebody in a place where he is almost I'm not justifying corruption by so saying, but I'm saying that by this kind of wage that Nigerian workers currently collect, you have no moral basis to now hold them accountable when they pilfer the coffers, whenever they have the opportunities here and there, because it's a matter of survival rather than just a convenience. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, Comrade Umaja, beyond being a labor leader, of course, you are a citizen. You're all right, and you have been interacting with citizens. Give us what you feel the citizens are going through, Nigerian citizens, with regards to the current economic hardship in the country, the cost of living in general.
Well, I think in recent times we have never witnessed the kind of hardship that Nigerian citizens are undergoing right now. As it stands, it has become very, very difficult for an average family of 3, that's like maybe 3 children and husband and wife, that is maybe an average family of 5, to even have a normal feed. To feed yourself is a problem. You also recall that cost of transportation that we have hardly highlighted. The money that a normal person can use from one place to another has skyrocketed by 300 and above percent. So it becomes very, very difficult for an average citizens to survive in this present economic situation. Not forgetting what is happening in the health sector or even education. How do you feed your children? How do you clothe your children? How do you even pay their medical bills? So these are issues that actually requires a very sincere approach from the government. Apart from the issue of minimum wage, we felt that as it stands now, there is a lot of responsibility on the side of the political class, those who are governing the system. They should look at how to subsidize majority of these items that we have just listed. Issue of removal of fuel subsidy has thrown Nigeria into untold hardship. Issue of electricity tariff that we're talking about, discussing about the issue of fuel subsidy, removal of fuel subsidy. And the next thing we hear is that there is an increase in tariff. And majority of people who are into small-scale businesses survived by public power supply. How do you survive when you cannot even fuel your generator? And now the cost of paying NEPA bill has gone so high that it becomes not very easy for an average person to afford. So these are some of the issues that is actually affecting the Nigerian citizens. Then the cost of drugs has gone so high now because of inflations and maybe because of movement of these commodities from one place to another. So it has become very, very difficult for people. Recently I was listening to one radio program, though not from Margate, and I had some kind of reaction from public, who some people are saying that they are not very interested in the review of the salary of workers. Rather, they should be like they should go to see how they reduce fuel prices, how they go to market and moderate the rate at which things are very high in the marketplaces. But I begin to look at it that yes, even though things are very hard, for the fact that organized labor is demanding for a wage review does not mean that they as well cannot go into the area of trying to draw the attentions of government that this area requires a serious attention. So we are saying that with the present situation in the country, if we must be realistic, if we must be sincere to ourselves, it means the governance of this nation has to be readdressed again. People really have to go back to the drawing board and look at what is actually happening to the society, what is happening to the citizens that you are actually governing. You should look at what is the way forward, because we have a lot of resources. Let us not lie to ourselves. Nigeria is endowed with a lot of natural resources, and they are actually harnessing these things. It's just that few individuals have diverted these resources to their personal pockets and maybe family use alone, and allowing the populace to suffer imperially. So we are advocating that there should be a review in the way Nigerians are governed. Let us then look at these people that they are humans. And because of the high cost of living has gone so high, but the ones who are actually looting the country will not feel the impact because they have enough resources to take care of those items that are no longer affordable by common Nigerians. So these are some of the issues that needed to be addressed by the political class.
Okay, Dr. Anule, also lend your voice to what the current experience of the cost of living for citizens? And what are the factors that may have triggered it?
Well, the issue of cost of living is something that I'm not the one to educate Nigerians about. It's a reality, and we're all passing through. To reduce it to the basic level, we all know, for instance, the basic things like water, potable water. A sachet of water which recently sold for 250 naira now sells for 500 naira. I mean a bag
yes,
of water.
yeah.
The bottle has moved from 150 and sometimes 200 to now 250, 300. And these are things that you cannot live without. The alternative to that is to drink whatever you see, and then the consequences are serious. Then healthcare, you know, if for you to go to the hospital now, this same adjustment have been made. A hospital card, if it's in the private sector, cannot be less than 3,000 naira, and before you even commence treatment. And then the cost of transportation. Now, which is something that drives the other costs significantly. Now, a drop now for a bike in Makurdi, I don't know, I'm not aware of any place that a bike man can take you, no matter how short, less than 200 naira. I cannot use myself as a living example.
Oh, why not? You are a citizen.
Yes, as I was driving to this studio, because I got the notice of this, as you know, the notice came late in the evening. I was driving, I didn't have the opportunity to refuel my car, so I was driving, and it stopped along the way, not too far from the studio, just around the road safety axis. And I took a bike to this place, and the cost is 200 naira. And it's a distance that, I could have walked, if not because of time, but the bike man charged 200 naira, and it's based on the reality because of the cost they're buying fuel. So everything is affected. Every single item that is required for us to live as human beings has been adversely affected. And it's obvious. Our situation, for our situation in Nigeria, everything is linked to transportation, and in Nigeria we don't have functional public transport. Even though in Benue State we're a bit lucky, the governor had to upgrade and subsidize Benue Link services, and it brought a lot of succor. But the local trips are not seriously affected, and we still have the situation. And you know, the bottom line is transportation affects every other thing, because the goods and services are shared, are distributed across space, and they are affected by transport cost. Most of the items we don't even produce in Benue State. They come from big cities, Lagos, Onitsha, and they come at a cost, and the cost has increased significantly, and you cannot blame the marketers for selling at those exorbitant costs. My labor leader friend alluded to the fact that Nigerians are calling for price control. You cannot control price when you are actively involved in making the cost of production high. You cannot have any justifiable reason to control the prices when the government is participating is making things difficult. The hike in electricity goes down to affect cost of production, as well as the hike in fuel prices. So it's a combination of factors, but these are the major two: hike in electricity prices and the hike in the cost of petroleum products, because we don't have functional train services, which are cheaper in other climes. We don't have functional public transport services, particularly within intra-city and between cities, and so people have to rely on the available private arrangements, and they are very, very costly and affected by the realities that we were talking about here. So I believe government has to wade in more seriously. But the starting point, what we are talking about now, is the wage, the minimum wage, which, as we said, is even a law that was even made by the government. So the government has the obligation to obey their own law, which they have commenced the process, but They are half-hearted in their approach to that process by the kind of offers they are making. It's so ridiculous that it doesn't even, I even thank the labor for even having the patience to continue to negotiate. I mean, do something that they are calling negotiation, because with that kind of offer, if you're not patient, you are more inclined to walk away than to even stay to negotiate. It's really ridiculous. If they believe that, I mean, they should always put themselves in the shoes of an average person. What is the basis for that 57,000? What are you expecting me to do with it? Take one item, transport. How much will it take for one person to move even from a short distance from your house to the office for 24 days of a month? I mean, if you put that in place, I mean, put that into perspective, you realize that what they are offering is a far cry. So we are here because of the action of government, and it is the same government that will take us out of where they have brought us to.
Okay, dear listener, in case you're just tuning in, you've been listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makurdi. Our discussion is focused on the cost of living and minimum wage negotiations. Our discussants here in the studio, I have with me the Benue State Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating Councils 1, 2, and 3, Comrade Aloysius Umaja, and also with us is a Public Affairs Commander. The line will be available for you to call in at 10 o'clock, and if you call soon as we open the line at 10, please remember to tell us your name and where you are calling from. And the ground norm is that you move away from your radio set or turn down the volume. Keep your conversation very civil and succinct as well, very brief, maximum of 2 minutes, so we can allow many persons to engage with us. If you go beyond that time, we may be tempted to disconnect you. And the line for text messages is 0912 699 9404, 0912 699 9404. That line for messages and WhatsApp is already activated for you to send in your contribution. Please remember to include your name and the location you are sending your message from. Also, you may follow our live stream of this program on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Get Radio and TV pages are there for you to follow the conversation. You may drop your comments on the links if they are related to the subject we are discussing. We may take it as your contribution. Also, if you log on to our website on www.agateradiotv.com and you check on the top right corner, you click on the radio icon there and listen to us live. If you have your radio garden on any app, any device at all, once the app is there, you can also listen to Agate Radio there. Comrade Umaja, I am back to you. You both have painted a picture of what the workers are going through, and if workers are going through this experience, even with the cost of living, what one would be wondering what the average Nigerian, who is not even a worker and a dependent, is actually going through with regards to the cost of living.
Well, I think we have said that repeatedly. In this kind of hard conditions as regards the cost of living, then it shows that the entire citizens is also affected, because apart from those who are even business-oriented people and that are involved in their private businesses, you also recall that even the civil servants also have dependents that are not also workers. Those who also have graduated from institutions and have not gotten a job doing, they are also there trying to get a living. So the situation is highly pathetic in the sense that if those who are actually being paid by the government are finding it very difficult to survive with this present economic realities, then what becomes the fate of those who are not even working at all? Some have become a perpetual beggar, so people who are not supposed to beg, because certain things that you are involved that gives you a kind of some earnings that you put your hands there that at least survive with, you can no longer do those things because of certain factors that we have just enumerated. For instance, you have people who have a barber shop, and for instance, your source of public supply have been cut off. There's no way you can continue with that business that have been giving you some earnings. Then even the generators that you have, you cannot fuel it, because by the time you buy a liter of fuel between the range of 700 and 800, some even to 1,000 naira, and you put in that generator and you got cost of other factors, it becomes very difficult for you to even make an estimate at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, the resultant effect is also pushed back to the to the public, because maybe you have also increased the cost of the services you are rendering to the society, and the man who is also coming to pay for that. For instance, before now, if you go to a barber shop with a range of 300 to 200 naira, you can barb your hair. But now, majority of this is between the range of 500 and 1,000 naira. In most places,
and even more.
It depends on the area you have visited. So the situation is highly pathetic, and that is why I keep hammering on the sincerity of purpose on the side of those who are actually governing the system, because we are all part and parcel of this system, and we must be carried along. For instance, you see a place where people find it very difficult to have just a meal in a day, and you have a lot of resources stocked there, like the issue when the palliative came, the first palliative that came. You saw that palliative were diverted to different outside the states, and some people you don't even have the means of surviving, and those who actually needed this assistance are there suffering. So the basic thing we are actually clamoring for now is that the cost of living is very, very high, and it is even affecting the living presently. Some people even have the result that is even better. You have a very high rate of suicide in our society now, because of just to feed your family. You cannot take care of your children return from school, and you cannot pay. Some people say, instead of like that, let me just take my life. That is what is happening. Though you don't have moral justification to take your life, because God will never forgive you. That is it. So we are advocating that on a very serious note, apart from the issue that we are discussing, which is the review of the minimum wage, we should be sincere in people that we are governing, the people we are leading. Because if you are put in that shoe, how will you survive? I think that should be the benchmark for a reasonable leader who is ready to lead the people that you are leading. Okay, look at some of these people you see presently. What actually are they looking for? If it is money, majority of them have made the money. Is it the name? You have made the name. Then what is it again? At least look for a way just to survive Nigeria, not even to go and empower them to even look a way of creating other wealth, but just to survive, just to eat, take medications, move from one place to other is what we are even crying for. Not a perfect living situation that an ordinary person is entitled to as a citizen. So these are some of the challenging problems that we have in the country, and we are actually calling on the government to wade into this matter as a matter of urgency and address this issue with all sincerity of purpose.
While you were making your points, you made mention of a fueling generator, and it actually struck me that if you go around certain parts of Makurdi in a night, for instance, the concept of "I pass my neighbor" I think does not apply in this experience, because you said on here the generators vibrating for the cost of fuel. I think. Okay, Dr. Anule, in what ways would the government have to offer genuine palliative interventions to cushion the effect of the rising cost of living on Nigerians?
Yes, many ways, but starting point, which is already what we are talking about here, is to provide living wages to those who are working. The worker is an important component of the society, in that the worker is a customer to many businesses. Once he has the resources if he has the right resources, he patronizes. There's a chain reaction that multiply effect that permeates all aspects of the society. The worker is the one that patronizes the barbing salon. He goes to the market to buy food stuff, goes to the hospital, and so on. So the salary that you give to a worker is not only useful to the worker, but it also benefits the entire economy. And apart from that, the workers, like he rightly mentioned, have dependents who or are taken care of if the worker is well remunerated. Now, but beyond that, governments are known to provide subsidies, and that was why in the first instance fuel was being subsidized over the years, and the situation was not as difficult as it is now. So it may be unrealistic for us at this moment to ask that fuel subsidy should be restored, but subsidies can be, the gains from the fuel subsidy can be pushed to other sectors. I understand that the federal government released some funding to states to support the subsidy intervention in many areas, but we have not seen those interventions. Almost we don't know where the interventions have gone to. We don't have relief. I mean, we don't have lower cost of anything. We don't know where the interventions have gone to. Like I can really mention the case of Benue State, where we have subsidy in terms of transport, but beyond that, across the country, things are just, as the way they are. Nigerians, Nigerians are made to grapple with the reality of, they wake up every day, you see a price item that you bought yesterday, you wake up the next day, you see it times 2 of what you bought yesterday, and it's going on and on and on. So subsidies in many areas, transport, electricity particularly, in fact electricity is central to all aspects of our living because it affects production, it affects the minimum things that we do even in our homes. So electricity subsidy will go a long way to also open up other areas of the economy. And we have a situation where we were told that the electricity was privatized for the purpose of making it more efficient. All we have seen in terms of the difference that it has made is the cost. We have not seen anything in terms of improvement in service. All we know, whenever we are made to remember that it was privatized, we all get to know only when we hear about adjustment in prices, because the services have not been improved. Indeed, if you ask me, they are even getting worse, but the prices are getting higher. And it's another aspect that the government has to come in and subsidize, make it stabilized, make it affordable. Electricity is not a luxury. It is something that is basic for any society to thrive. And once there is no reliable electricity and affordable electricity, businesses fold up. And when businesses fold up, people lose jobs. So there are chain reactions that come with all these effects that we were talking about, the effects of this high cost that we're talking about. So government can also subsidize healthcare, subsidize education. At the moment, even federal universities are increasing their school fees at a rate that is not sustainable, which means that public institutions, universities, public secondary schools are not even affordable to common man. The same common man whose income has been made meaningless is made to grapple with high cost of even paying for services like education and healthcare. Now, the alternative, because once he is not able to afford this thing, the other option is to drop out, and the consequences of dropout are even more dire. You know, when an idle man is a devil's workshop, as we know. When people are educated, there are opportunities for productive contribution to the economy are made better. So once the basic necessities of life are out of reach of average citizens, it portends grave danger for the future of that country. And like you mentioned, it can lead to depression. Depression can lead to higher tendencies for people to commit suicide. And when the citizen is pushed to that point, there's a tendency for riots. And of course, I know Nigerians are very patient set of human beings. If not, we are almost at the point where we would have seen a situation where riots would be all over the place. But we call on government to quickly resolve this negotiation that is ongoing, because people are properly mobilized, people are properly ready. Once this negotiation phase, which is a hope that people are looking up to for something to come out of this, once the negotiations fail, people will have no option than to once Labour calls Nigerians on the streets, they will have a very good reason to respond. And I doubt if the government can contain the anger, because this anger will be in form of survivor. We're not talking about a standard optimum life. We're talking about survivor in this case. So when people cannot afford the basic things to survive, then what I mean, they can go to any level at any cost to pass a message and cause change. So it's something that the government should take seriously. But also on our part, the part of the citizenry is a call for adjustment. We never knew that it was convenient to walk some certain distances that are not too far. Now you see people walking the streets. It contributes to healthcare. They improve their this thing. In fact, in other climes, they introduce bicycles as part of the local transportation arrangement. It reduces the cost of fuel, and it also improves the health of the citizenry. So this hardship, Nigeria should also find ways of making something out of it. There should have opportunities that come with it, and one of the opportunities that comes with it is that we now make adjustments that are beneficial in the long term to our lives. We are used to even drive our vehicles right to the doorsteps of our offices. Now we can afford to park them and even walk if the offices are not too far away from where we live. So these are some of the small adjustments that we can make on our own and in the wake of these realities that we face. And in the long term, like I said, they may turn out to affect significant behavioral change.
It's okay. It's about time now for us to engage with those listening to us. And if you're just tuned in, we are discussing the cost of living and minimum wage negotiations. Once you connect with us, let's know your name and where you're calling from. Please keep your conversation very brief. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is Edamboka.
Okay, thank you, Edamboka, for joining us.
Well, I was a civil servant for 33 years. I paid my dues. And I remember there was a time many civil servants were beginning to withdraw their membership of unions because they were beginning to feel that labor unions were sellouts. They were just representing themselves. They have a wedding, they go to government and collect money. They have a burial, they are giving vehicles, even privileges. And in some part of the world, they began to become commissioners and permanent secretaries by appointment. So it's an accumulation. Government has also been studying the people they are dealing with. In other crimes, the dues alone that the labor unions collect, they buy vehicles, they have their own transport systems, they have some businesses, so that even when they have a challenge, they are able to fall back to their own savings, to their own investment. During that time, they are now talking to government and saying, this is what we desire, this is what is due to us. But here we have a system. There was a time in the past, I can't remember their names again. The other one, our big guy, is now a senator. I can't remember his name, he was also a governor, and so on and so forth. So all I'm saying is that government has been watching. Do you know that there are some people in political arena that believe that public workers are just idlers? They don't do anything. So most of the time they feel giving them anything that is why this giant decided that this time around everybody must be busy. Labor unions will be there, for example. This minimum wage you're talking about, if they get it. Will they talk about the pensioners, for example? Will they say harmonization? They
Okay.
keep quiet.
Okay.
Pensioners themselves, we have union leaders that will also be doing the same thing.
Okay, Edamboka.
The problem of Nigeria.
Edamboka, your point is made, but
Yes.
I quickly want to ask you, if you said this is not just about labor leaders, it's about citizens. If the labor leaders, as you have alleged, that they are in connivance with the government, how about the citizens? Is the government prioritizing their welfare with regards to issues of rising cost of living? Very briefly.
So you see, I don't know exactly. I didn't hear you very well, but I suspect what you are saying is that the people, you see, a businessman, a capitalist, is a man who desires to give you minimum just to keep you. You remember when the Americans, Europeans took slaves from Africa? They used to give you minimum food to eat. You are just to live, not to be strong enough to do any other thing, just to do the labor. So if labor leaders knew, that is why those people who comment what is called labor today knew that you have to persistently keep records. Today, most labor leaders to give you details of how much it costs to buy a pack of matches in 2019, and now how much is it? They don't have such record.
Okay, Dabok, I think we must have to conclude with you now. Thank you.
So I encourage them. Here moving forward. Here moving. Keep your eyes. Shine your eye.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Shine your eye. That's the word. All right, thank you. This program, we intend that it should be solution-driven. Much as we speak of our challenges and what people are going through, let's try to proffer solutions to the issues and not just the lamentations. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much.
You do us a favor by moving away from your radio.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. May we know your name, please?
The issue of this
May we know your name and where you are reaching us from before you continue with your submission?
My name is Michael O'Malley.
Okay, Michael O'Malley. Where are you reaching us from, please?
I'm calling from Nova.
All right. Go ahead, O'Malley.
And the reason that everything is filling up,
Michael, your radio is still interfering with our communication. The whole back is not really friendly to us.
Okay, you are hearing me now?
Yes, but the best thing to do is turn down your volume completely or move away from your radio so we can hear you better.
Okay, I'm moving away.
Okay, O'Malley, speak to us. Speak to us.
The labor that are messing up themselves. Because I remember the time of Ada Osomele. The labor are very strong. But they say, even if they cough, government will listen. But this labor these days, the labor that will go and collect money, they say like the strike will be tomorrow. And tomorrow they will do what's not like Christmas and they'll go and collect money. And everything will die down. So whatever they are doing, our government is mocking of them. That's the issue. Because the laborers are not strong, like a time of advance. If not, if the labor is strong, by now, one person cannot go inside the market and fight everybody. They will put the government down. All the workers will remain in the house. Can you imagine the director streaking on the road in Nigeria here and everybody laughing? It's amazing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, O'Malley. Thank you. This is an accusation on labor leaders. We have a labor leader here, so we hope with time the labor leader will also tell us if these allegations are actually true. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much. My name is Joe Gondo. I'm coming from here in Makurdi.
All right, thank you, Joe Gondo. Go ahead.
Yes, my contribution is that we lost faith in labor. Right away from 1999 up to date. Because most of the times the government will inflict injuries on the citizens in terms of increasing prices of whatever they want to do arbitrarily. And at the end of the day, labor will claim that they are negotiating with the government. And at the end of everything, government will be successful in terms of doing whatsoever it wants to do. Because at the end of the deliberations, strikes and whatsoever, the government will be at the upper hand of whatever they want to increase the price of. So for some of us, they may be trying, but the percentage at which they are trying is so low compared to the percentage they do lost in terms of struggles. So it is whatever they succeed doing that some of us will believe in them. If not, they are vying for things that are very correct and they are protecting. When you talk of a drastic increase of petroleum, when you talk of general hardship, you are living the cost of goods in the market, they are saying the right thing. We are supporting them, but we lost faith in them because at the end of the day, we don't think they will bring anything tangible to us. So that's the fear. We don't believe in them anymore.
Okay, so even the current negotiation that between...
We don't believe in them because it is the same level from Oshomole when Obasanjo was the president of this country from democratic time. Since 1999 up to date, that is what they do.
Okay.
Except I told you that it is what they do different now that we believe in them. If not, we lost faith in them.
Okay. Thank you, Jogo.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Nigerians seem to be telling us there is no faith in the labor, but we'll get to know why. Let's hear from people more. We'll hear from them. Hello, good morning. Hello. Oh, we lost connection with that caller, but the line is still open. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, welcome to Perspectives.
Emeka Anyok from North Bank.
All right, welcome, sir.
Yes, I'm very happy that my good friend Ibe is there.
No, Igbe is not here, please. Hello, Emeka Anyogo.
Yes.
Our guest.
Ibe, I congratulate you to be the
Emeka Anyogo.
chairman of
Emeka Anyogo, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Can you listen to me, please, if you may?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Our discussants on the program, we have Comr Aloysius Umaja. He is a Benue State Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating Councils 1, 2, and 3. And
yes.
Dr. Terngu Anule of the Benue State University, a public affairs commentator and lecturer in the Department of Geography at that university. These are our discussants, so we don't give people the wrong names.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Please go on.
My organ, the discussants have done very, very well. As far as labor is concerned, I love what they are doing. Labor are trying, but you know, politicians being what they are, they have their own way of trying to survive, try to do one way or the other to make that the labor is not working. I believe, looking at what is happening in this country today, fuel matter, after removing the subsidy, Nigerians cannot move here and there. Even those who are labor people now cannot even buy the fuel. If you talk about the civil servants, there are many people who have parked their cars. And when you go to the man who is selling in the market, it is fuel that he uses to go and get those things. And they charges him about the money, the fuel money. And everything is going up. My advice to labor is that the negotiation that they are doing now, they are talking about 500,000, and the federal government have come to some amounts. I am pleading with them because this country, even if they pack the whole money and give, we will still have more problems. I think what labor have to do is to look at it in the other way around, that the government also have to do some developments, and the government have to do some other things. If it is 100,000, the federal government agree, because I do know that labor, with what the federal government are talking about and where they are now, and what labor are talking, maybe it will be at 100,000. Let them accept it. And again, tell the government this issue of price of things. You cannot hold the common man who is in the market selling his things, that the man have increased like other people who used to say. We tell you that people are increasing things. Not increasing things is based on the manufacturers.
Okay.
The manufacturers buy gas, they buy petrol, they do things, and these things are being increased everywhere. So it is this time that labor have to move around and tell the people, look at it, government, what is happening to the poor masses now is not good. Right. And the politicians also who take these decisions should also understand. The people that they are ruling, if one will keep them finished, who will they rule again?
All right, thank you. We should conclude with you now.
Should do their own part.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so sorry. We have to disconnect with you, Emeka Anyogo. Thank you. Your point is made, so as to enable others also have the platform. We have people that we want to also. Good morning. Hello. Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Perspectives. Are you moving? There seem to be a lot of... okay, please, make yourself stationary. Let's speak at least for 1 minute before you continue your movement. We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
my regards to your guest in the studio. The comrade there, I like the way he's talking. I like it. So thank you very much for your submission. So comment there.
Thank you. Welcome.
So this issue of high cost of living is because we lost love to one another. We don't love ourselves. We don't value our people. In fact, our leaders don't value us. Why I say so is because if they value us, they see us like human beings. We are like them, when we are supposed to live well like them and their families. They will look into matters and do things that will be beneficial to the public. Imagine all these problems we're having now is the center point is on fuel. Because, for example, we that from Bajima, before we used to convert ourselves from Bajima to Makurdi, just 250 naira to 300, and now it's 1,200 from Bajima to Makurdi. I was supposed to go to Makurdi since last week to go and do something. I don't have the transport, and what I was supposed to do. If I miss it this week, I will lose the whole thing, and it's something that will help me and my family. You see all these things. So my appeal to our leaders, we voted them in there to represent us and to make life better for us, not to enrich themselves and turn us to slaves. So they should remember that they have people outside there who voted them in.
All right.
And they need to live well. If they have that in their mind, all of this program will reduce, and all of us will live happy, and then we'll be happy, and then we'll do the right things. Because the way things are going now, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm afraid the way crimes. I don't know where they'll be able to control it in the future time. I'm not praying so, but
no, we don't pray. We'll get there. All right. Thank you, Kwan Wutahab. We appreciate you. Thank you for your submission. The high cost of transport. He pointedly mentioned the figure from what it used to be in Bajimba to Makurdi and what it is currently. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you. Don't be James from Mapa.
Hi, is that
local government of Benue State.
How is that by this morning, Donovan?
It's cool and calm.
All right.
We are composed.
Good to know. Go ahead with your submission.
Yeah, thank you so much for this program. My regards to your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Yes, they have spoken very well. You see, the federal government is not sincere, not serious with the workers and the citizens at a larger scale. Because if you are taking your people seriously, you could remember back in the days, I think in 1981, the minimum wage was about 125 naira 50 kobo, though I stand to be corrected. And then the value of the Nigerian naira was a bit higher than the US dollar, because by then it was 86 kobo to a dollar. Yeah, and now you see that the Nigerian money has been devalued, and then by then, for instance, when you are being paid 125 naira 50 kobo, it was like about $135. Now, if you are being paid about say 48,000, it is about $35. So after 1981 to this time, about 40 something years, 43 thereabout years, and then are we moving progressively or retrogressing? You can look at how the federal government is looking at the workers. When they say the higher you move or you go, the cooler it becomes. And when we are moving forward, we are not considering our workers. We are making them to be downtrodden. In those days, when you look at a worker, you know that this is a privileged Nigerian. But now, here in Napa, we have an international market. People that sell even grasses, chihuahua, they make more money. You know, on a market day, there are about 7 markets in a month. Before the month ends, they are getting up to 100,000 and thereabout.
Don't do that.
So you see that the government should make at least like 300,000 for the workers, so that they will buy from the market and the common man will also enjoy the day.
Okay. Thank you. don't do it from Akbar. Thank you. I was really interested when you mentioned that Akbar has got an international market. I wanted to find out from you the level of patronage, but unfortunately you disconnected. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Yes, welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much.
May we know your name?
Nyajo.
Yes.
This is Nyajo, calling from Bayou.
Nyajo who, please?
Nyajoze, calling from Bayou.
Okay, my view in Gwe East local government, I suppose.
Local government.
All right. Good to have you, Nyajo. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hello?
Nyajo, we are listening to you. Go ahead.
The primary responsibility of any good government is to protect life and property and the welfare of the people. And the government, is it protecting life? Is the government giving the welfare to the people? No. Since in 1983, the federal government or the state government has not reviewed the salary of the workers. But every year, the salary of House of Assembly member or the commissioner or the advisor or the senator increase year by year. And when you go to most of these workers, the ministries, people that does the work are workers. Because the commissioner will come to the office Monday, the next days you will not see him. The permanent secretary, the directors, and the others workers, they will be there working. The senator will sit only for 3 days in a week. Likewise, the state assembly members. So this is the time, if the government is truly, the federal government is truly human being, and they know God, let them look into this word. What is 150,000 to pay workers? What is 150 or what is 200 to pay workers? When a senator is reading paper amount is about almost 7 million or 5 million. A civil servant and this senator, they are giving them food free. They are paying DSTV free. They are taking fuel free. A civil servant, somebody will live with about 10 children in the house. You are collecting 20,000. What? How much? If you are sharing even to 200 naira to 5 persons that you have in the house, how much are you going to eat before the month ends?
Okay.
I am begging God.
All right.
God is too quiet. Let God touch these people's heart.
Okay.
Let God touch these people's heart.
All right. Thank you very much.
The civil servants are suffering.
Thank you, Nyajose.
Civil servants are suffering. Please, God should touch this our leaders' heart.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope my PVC, when they call 2027, I will ask them. But before I vote you, are you going to increase my salary?
Okay.
How much? And do it. Go and do it before I will vote you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that's Nigeria saying that the part of the way of holding leaders accountable. A few more calls, I'll come back to you, our guest, shortly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, I am Chief Acho from Kansho.
The name is who?
Chief Acho Peter from Kansho.
Acho Peter.
Yes.
Okay, good to have you, Acho Peter.
Yes, I want to appreciate your discussants in the studio. I know Labour, they talk and the government will listen to them. I want them to take a step further. For instance, they have discovered the cause of the galloping inflation. That is fuel subsidy and electricity. What I'm trying to bring out here is something that will be done on those two things that will affect the general public. For instance, a family of say 7 or 8, how how many people are workers? Even they say give all of them 300,000 naira. How many of them will effectively take care of those who are not working? If they take another step further by telling the government or talk to the government about the electricity and the fuel that will affect everybody, even if you are not working. Mark you, it's not only the workers that elected them, so that everybody will be affected positively. That is my take, because I know there are people like my last person I have just spoken. Some people are taking over 13, 14 million in 30 days. One of my friends, they campaigned against him for leaking their secret from Kaduna State, and they don't want him to come back to the house. I don't learn names. If a single person is taking that much, what is wrong in giving the reasonable take-home salary to the workers? But I'm still appealing to labor to look inward and do what will affect everybody, not only the workers. Believe you me, you will work one day, you go by. When you take a certain percentage of your salary and retire, will it take care of you? Will it take care of your siblings or your brothers who are not working, that are not being paid? So I'm advising that they will do those things that will affect positively everybody, whether you are working or not. Now they are concentrating on salary of the workers. It's not bad anyway.
Okay.
But I'm of the view that they should do the one that will affect everybody, whether you are working or not.
Okay.
Like I gave analysis, how many people are working in the family?
Thank you, Atopita.
What will be the effect of the rest who are not working? So that is my submission. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your submission. All right. Before we engage with more people, Comrade Umaja, earlier on, several callers alleged that labor leaders, on their own part, or labor in general, not just the leaders, that they have lost confidence. Why is this so?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nathaniel. Before I respond, let me introduce myself properly again so that the listeners will also understand.
Yes.
I am Comrade Umaja Aloysius, the state chairman, Amalgamated Union of Public Operations, Civil Service, Technical and Recreational Services Employee, Benue State, and also the chairman of Joint Public Service Negotiating Council 1, 2, and 3. Here in Benue State, I have close to about 22 ministries that are under my care as a union, and I want to react to our callers, especially three of them, Dambaka, Michael, Male, and Jogundu. They are almost saying the same thing. What they have actually presented is very, very relative in nature.
Yes.
The truth is that we must call spade a spade. That for the fact that Judah betrayed Jesus Christ does not mean that all the disciples are betrayers. And the problem we are having in the society now is that even the labor leaders, genuine ones, I agree with all of them who have actually made a presentation, that we have some labor leaders who have actually betrayed the movement, who have actually diverted the main reason for coming into leadership to their personal reasons. Some become politicians instead of representing the interests of the workers. We have handful of some of them, but that does not mean that all labor leaders are like that. The labor movement, to me, is calling, and is a selfless service. It's people who are actually there to serve the society. The problem we're having in society presently is that a genuine labor leader is in a state of dilemma. Dilemma in the sense that the people you are representing, the public that you are protecting their interests, at some point have actually looked at you as somebody who have gone to betray them at the end of the day, that whatever you are discussing is as if it is for your personal gain. And the person you are also facing, which is the government, is not making it easy for you at all. The atmosphere becomes very tense, very hostile, that you don't know, and the people that are supposed to fall back is the people, the public, because they are our strength. the strength of a labor leader is the number of people that we're working with. So I want to educate ourselves that we should not be quick in condemning the movement. I kept asking some people these questions, like in your workplace, in your environment where you work. You have either in ministries where you have maybe the ESCO of that place will not be more than 8 or 10 persons. And you have discovered that these people that are leading you are not doing well. The opportunity is always given for everybody to vie and then also contribute his or her quotas. But you will not come out to come and say, oh, I think I can make a change because I will do better than what you are doing. You come into the society and then contribute your quota to the movement so that you can change the narratives. People will not come. Those who have actually sacrificed themselves and are there, at the end of the day, instead of encouraging them, your such presentations are discouraging in nature. Because, okay, look at what the present situation that is ongoing. Some of them will bear me witness that the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ajero, you discover what happens to him in Imo State last year. When they went there, they had a lot of issues in Imo. And as an indigene, they were an indigene of Imo, but he will not stop going to Imo because he's an indigene of Imo, but he is the president of Nigerian Labour Congress. In the process of having a peaceful protest, he was abducted, heavily beaten, and nobody knew his whereabouts. It was even the intervention of a top government official, I don't want to mention that, they got his number later, and that was when he was released. Otherwise, the story would have been a different thing. So, if that man is somebody who has gone to collect money from people, how would they have gone to that extent to stand that, no, this must be done? You will recall that each time there is a call for a protest or for a strike action, the one thing people fail to understand is this: you don't just declare an industrial action. Something led to the industrial action. Maybe you are in a negotiating table, or you are discussing something with government, and at the end of the day, you discover that this thing is not working well, and you know, okay, I am giving you between now and this period. If you don't do this, we are going to down tool as in we are going to protest or we embark on industrial strike. And maybe they will not answer you for maybe the next 14 days ultimatum you have given. The last day, the day you are declaring this thing, they call you for a meeting. And the Constitution does not give you the permission to turn your back on them anytime they call you to come and negotiate with them, because you are actually not there to fight. Now you come, and the terms of references that you have submitted, they now tell you, yes, you said you are going to do this. Okay, we are going to do this. We will do this. But bear in mind that if it has to do with money, payment of money, certain money that they are owing you, you know, in that office there where you are sitting, they cannot carry out the money and begin to pay basically. There will be some people who will be involved in processing this money. And at the end of the day, you feel that this man you are engaging is sincere. What do? You have to call back your people and say, okay, we have struck a balance. At this stage, we have agreed that these certain conditions that we have laid down, they are ready to meet up with those conditions. And you go back to call off your industrial strike. But the general mass is now, but the fact that you have said, we are backing on strike tomorrow, and tomorrow after one day you say you are call off the strike because they have met certain conditions, because in most cases they may not give you 100%. Maybe they have met with 70 or 60, so okay, let's go back there and discuss. At that stage, the majority of the public will tell you that you have compromised. So these are some of the issues that a genuine labor leaders have been facing for a very long time. So I am using this opportunity and this medium to actually, yes, accuse if you have fact and figures. If you have discovered where somebody has betrayed you, mention names. But also try to encourage them. And even those who have even worked before and have retired from service, like the first caller said, if you have worked in the public service, you should understand and appreciate what the workers are doing. Okay, at the end of the day, if this minimum wage is agreed, yes, definitely there will be those who are pensioners. There will be harmonizations. They harmonize their salary, they should meet. So if you have issues, you can address your issue to the National Union of Pensioners, where they will also address the issue, and issue of harmonizations will definitely come in. And that is why even when you negotiate, there are people with special salary structures, counties, Comr, and all this. You also go back to the drawing board and then apply those percentages that needed to be added to whatever you are discussing. So I want to say that those who actually behind the labor is not just about review of salaries, not about issue of wage increase. You will recall that when the fuel subsidy was removed, it was on the public domain. The reactions of government, the reactions of organized labor condemning the act, and from time to time they have been telling government. You recall that even the president of Nigerian Labour Congress walked out on the presidency when they called them for a meeting. What he said was that revert back to the old pump price before we can negotiate. That was the initial stand. But it gets to a point that you become too stiff, and somebody will say as if you are not flexible enough. You come back and you begin to put certain things on the table, and those were the reasons why the issue of what the palliatives you are getting in transportations and some other things that we are enjoying today. So if you condemn the labor and you don't support them, it will get to a point that you don't have labor. You will not even have any means of protesting at all.
We hope we don't get there. Let's engage with a few more persons. So the public, you are being told today that labor relies on your strength. The strength of the labor, like the labor leader has pointed out, is that the backing you give them to be able to engage with the government. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
My name is Mrs. Taiwo Sindele.
Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. Where are you reaching us from?
I'm calling from Atusa.
All right. How is Atusa this morning?
Atusa is fine.
Mrs. Taiwo, your radio is interfering with our communication.
Okay, I will reduce it.
Okay, please do. All right, go ahead, Mrs. Taiwo. Akindele.
I want to greet the guests in the studio. I want to thank God for them. I know they are trying. The laborers are trying. But they should work harder. The issue is not about money alone. I know the money will help, even though they give every worker 1 million. And I hope that those, even they give these workers 1 million, it will still be the same thing. Because the more they are giving me, the more this fuel is going higher. The only thing I want labor to do, let them not be fed up, let them not be wear off. They should tell the government concerning this hardship of fuel something. The thing is terrible. It's terrible. It's the fuel that is causing everything. Even though they give every household money, 1 million, it will not help. Let them tell Nigeria that fuel something is killing people. They should reduce it at least. That is my take.
Right.
The fuel something that is causing everything.
Okay.
I know the money that the labor are fighting for is good, but it will not take people anywhere without this fuel something reducing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Taiwo Akindele. We appreciate your submission. Thank you. All right. Let's take a few messages, then we'll come back to you. I'll be with you shortly, Dr. Anule. This one says, "Good morning, Agate Radio. My name is Gabriel Mnenge from Logowa, Makurdi. My question is, when this issue of minimum wages eventually settled, will it not affect the prices of goods? If so, is there any plan by labor union to curtail such? Thanks." All right, thank you, Gabriel Mnenge. We'll respond to your question. Another one here says, "Good morning, I get radio. I am E.T. TV Abraham from behind Federal Low Cost North Bank, Makurdi. For me, the federal government should establish a wage that will go a long way addressing the challenges of workers, because once workers are financially empowered, the whole sectors of the economy will be improved, as markets and other businesses will be well patronized, as well as relatives will be enhanced." Okay, that will give an improvement to relatives. I think that was what you mean. God bless Agate Radio and the NLC and federal government. We agree for a living wage. All right, thank you, T. Abraham. Another one here says, "Greetings to you and all the guests in the studio. Politicians should stop playing pranks with Nigerians over this salary issue and face the present reality by doing the right thing." Vincent Akko from Wadata in Makurdi. Thank you, Vincent Akko, for your message. We appreciate you. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Benue, Akura.
All right.
From Nongu, by Chapel Book local government. I regard your guest in the studio.
One regards. Go ahead, Ibrahima.
Thank you for the opportunity. Today's topic is a very nice one. Cost of living, the living in Nigeria now is very sympathetic. I thank your guests in the studio so much because they have spoken very well. You know, taking my case, my issue as a case study, my Norwegian person. Moving from my area here to one of the local markets, initially it was 100 naira, but now it is 300 and above. From my location here to the area. Take a look at that. A disabled person like me to move and come back, nothing to do. How can one survive? It's a very difficult task. And as that everything is skyrocketed in Nigeria now, inability of the average Nigerian to eat 3 square meals, balance one a day, is not affordable, and it is stringing out diseases. And if you go to the hospital, everything is skyrocketed. To transport yourself is difficult. Look at the issue of agriculture now. Yesterday I was hearing that a bag of fertilizer costs 17,500 to 19,000. How can an average Nigerian cope to farm? The farming season is around the corner. This is the bad effect of this. And moving forward, the way forward is that let our leaders implement good policies that will cover all of us. The issue of fuel subsidy is the only issue that causes all the problems that we are in now.
All right.
Had they been our federal government implementing what he told us to do, look at the issue of refineries there before December, according to what I have gathered, that everything will be okay.
Right.
I think the refinery there is not functioning optimally. The issue of CNG buses, where are they? And thank God for our governor. He took a part to alleviate the suffering of we common people. The impact is affected.
Right.
That's all right. But we, the average, those of us that are in the rural areas, are not feeling the positive impact of of that.
All right. Thank you, Ibrahima. We
So
appreciate
taking
it.
good policies will enable us move forward, find in good direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ibrahima Akura from Banku Mbatiav. We appreciate your submission. Dr. Anule, let's begin with this question by Gabriel Nenge, who had asked us, when the minimum wage is eventually set, will it not affect the prices of goods? I think this is something to ponder on. What is your reaction to this?
Yes,
Doctor?
yes. From experience, it is very obvious that if the government and labor eventually comes out with an improvement in take home, it will be met with further adjustment in prices of goods. That is not supposed to be the standard, but that is from experience now in what we have experienced over the years in Nigeria. Really, the truth is that prices are not determined by one factor. There are a number of factors that affect price. They are determined prices, and principally is a function of demand and supply. When the demand is high, and of course when people have more money, the demand will step up. So when the demand is high, it typically leads to higher cost of those goods. And when the supply is high, it reduces the cost. So we believe that in addition, because this wage increase is one of many things that the government needs to put in place. It's one of many. It's not the only solution to the problem we are facing in Nigeria. So after the wage increase, or indeed even while the wage increase is being negotiated, the government can go further to put other things in place, like enhancing production. If incentives are given to industries to produce, it will ultimately lead to higher supply which will drive down cost. I believe that we are all Nigerians. The people who are selling are Nigerians. They will not deliberately inflict hardship on fellow Nigerians just because they have received a new minimum wage. The new minimum wage will not by itself translate to higher cost. It is the adjustment that will be made either in the market or by deliberate actions of producers and sellers. So yes, we expect that there will be some slight adjustment in price increase if the wage comes, but if the average worker is empowered, he will be able to cope with that adjustment, and also the fact that
I beg to interrupt you very quickly. Hello, thank you for holding on the line. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nathan.
Morning to you.
With the harsh economic realities.
The name is who, please?
You have borne my head time.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Bear with us. What's the name and where are you reaching us from?
My name is Jude Upewe. I'm calling from Bakumegwe East.
All right, Jude, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate your guest.
Thank you.
Time is fast spent.
Yeah.
I won't spend much time. You know, I appreciated the labor unions in Nigeria. But there should be sincerity on their part. The way J. Ajero is handling the labor union in Nigeria, I am not happy. You know, when Pascal Bashir was the president of NLC, the man worked. I must appreciate him. When he says no, the no is no. No, yes. I begin to wonder that sometimes it's like Ajero we back and we not bite. That is the situation we are finding ourselves. Now, we are beginning to address the symptoms in Nigeria rather than the real ailment itself. Why am I saying so? There is instability in the economy of Nigeria. The president should stabilize this country, sincerely speaking. Because when the country is not stabilized, this will work. You talk about the issue of fuel. Why is it that the president is not addressing the issue of fuel? Now the subsidy has been removed. There is challenges here and there. Nigerians are crying. If Nigerians cry too much, why can't he revert? Bring the subsidy back and let us enjoy the subsidy once again.
All right.
Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you. That will be our last call. Mr. President had pronounced subsidy is gone. Nigerians are itching that Mr. President should reverse that phrase. Okay, Dr. Anule.
Yes.
Your thoughts to conclude on if prices will change if a new minimum wage is introduced, and of course, I would like you to take it together with how the food inflation, the rising cost of food items in the country at the moment could be addressed.
Okay. So I was saying that in the current negotiation that is going on with regards to minimum wage is not by itself the ultimate, is not the end to everything. Along with it, the government needs to intervene in other areas like healthcare. Health insurance should be available and affordable for all Nigerians. These are all part of the things that Nigerians spend on. So you also have to have public water supply. You know, when these things are available, people will not be burdened too much out of the little they earn. At the moment, Nigerians construct roads to their houses. Nigerians provide water for themselves. Nigerians buy, in fact, they even buy transformers before, in the first place, even before they are connected to supply, which they also pay heavily for. So those things can be put in place by the government so that Nigerians will not be spending the little resources they earn on those things. And once that is done, it will have a multiplier. It will affect costing of items generally in the market and everywhere. And then I was with regards to food, cost of food items.
Yes.
Food is basic to living. Without food and water, we cannot survive. And the government has to come in by way of providing the inputs, agricultural inputs, like fertilizer, make it affordable. In fact, my brother was talking about fertilizer being 17,000. 17,000 naira is a subsidized rate. The cost of fertilizer in the open market at the moment is 36,000 naira. I know because I'm a farmer too. And so it's just too high. Without 36,000 naira, first of all, where is an average farmer going to get that money from? And even when you get the money, how much of it, how much yield are you expecting to get from that quantity of that cost of fertilizer? So the cost is high, partly because we're not producing it in Nigeria. So government should, in the short term, subsidize it, but look forward, encouraging industries to set up that will produce it locally, so that it will be cheaper. And other agricultural inputs like herbicides, like even the seeds. I commend the government, the Benue State government, that at the moment I understand Benada is distributing agricultural inputs, and there's a significant spike in the interest in farming locally, which is one of the things that I said is an outcome of the reality that we face. Every civil servant is going back to the farm. I believe that if they are encouraged, it will go a long way. And not to be left out is the issue of insecurity. In Benue State, we have been bedeviled with serious security challenges, where farmers are not, in many places, farmers are finding it difficult to go to their farms. In as much as the interest is there, the difficulty, the challenge of insecurity prevents them from farming as they should. I believe the government is handling it. More hands must be on deck to put it behind, so that people can freely go to their farms and farm as much as possible, so that the food supply will, like I said, once the supply is high, the cost will come down. So if the production is done massively, it will lead to higher supply, and it will ultimately crash the prices. I also want to chip in with regards to, I want to add my voice to the issue of having a lack of trust in our labor leaders.
Yes, very briefly.
I think the labor leaders, like you said, are dealing with an unusual situation, where the people they are negotiating with are very, very stubborn. I can cite the example of ASU. I'm a member of ASU, and we believe, and I believe Nigerians also know, that ASU is one union that hardly compromises. But it has got to a point where ASU enters into the negotiations. First, strike is the last thing that labor would do. It is they prefer to negotiate, to give ultimatums, to dialogue, to lobby, and adopt other methods to resolve issues. When it gets to the point of strike, it is when every other option has failed. So when the strike comes, the whole idea is to find ways of resolving issues. It is only when the government hears threat of strike that they begin to take actions, and the actions themselves that they take are only meant to suspend the strike. They are not meant to resolve the issues. Over the years, we have seen situations where government will blackmail the unions, will threaten them, will harass them, will even do whatever they can to lead to the suspension of the strike, not to address the underlying issues that lead to that strike. So the labor leaders, like you said, are dealing with an unusual situation. I'm not saying that they are all good people or they are all doing what they should do, but they are also dealing with an unusual situation. And they come from a pool of workers. They are not imposed on workers. They are not people from elsewhere. So if workers are not confident in their leaders, they have the opportunities to replace them.
Okay.
So I think, like you said, the leaders need the support to deliver on their mandate.
All right, we are gradually concluding. Comrade Umaja, this will be your concluding words. Negotiations are still ongoing. Do you see the possibility of arriving at what will be a middle ground for labor and the government? And if arrived at, do you see the commitment on the part of state governments, for instance, paying that to satisfy Nigerian workers?
Yeah, to react to that quickly, the truth is that with the way things are going, I'm scared if this will be resolved within the stipulated time of the end of the month.
And if not resolved,
yes,
what happens?
If it's not resolved, I am not in the position to speak, but based on what we have witnessed so far, there will be a reaction. There will be a negative reaction by the Nigerian Labour Congress or the TUC, which is organized labor. They will definitely down tool to press down their demand. And as for the state, I think I want to categorically state that in our last meeting, the executive governor of the state did promise that he will implement whatever that is agreed at the national level. So in the state, we are optimistic and we know that we won't have such a problem. And I also want to maybe chip a little to what my
very briefly, because
as the regards of inflation, if the minimum wage is approved.
Yes.
The truth is that it is the way and manner government is handling the implementation of the minimum wage that will cause inflation in the market, because when political political office holders like National Assembly members and all, their wages were being reviewed. Was there any corresponding inflation in the market? Because it was done quietly. This is a constitutional matter that at the end of every 5 years, you're supposed to have engaged these people in a round table. You discuss, you finalize this, and this is not supposed to be in the public domain. They set up a committee, they say you should go and have a public hearing within the geopolitical zone because you want to review something that is statutory, that is legal, that is constitutional. You want to make it public as people are hearing, as if people are demanding for something that doesn't belong to them. Somebody has worked for this, me and you have agreed. At the end of this thing, you are going to increase this thing. Come, what is the parameters we are using? Do it quietly. They deliberately try to put this in as if labor is over demanding for what they ought not to have been given. So the truth is that they should be sincere.
All right, sincerity, the underlining word. We should conclude now. Dr. Anule, our time is up. I'm afraid I may not give you a parting shot anymore. Dear listener, thank you very much for being a part of today's edition of Perspectives. We appreciate your listenership. We're always here because you are there. Today we discuss the cost of living and minimum wage negotiations. We'll continue to follow events as they unfold. The labor are stamping their ground. Federal government is also shifting, and let's see how it goes. We'll continue to bring you developments. I must appreciate very sincerely our discussants on the program today. Benue State Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating Councils 1, 2, and 3, Comrade Aloysius Umaja. Thank you very much for coming on Perspectives.
Thank you, Mr. Nathaniel, for inviting us to this program.
I'm grateful also to a public affairs commentator and lecturer in the Department of Geography at the Benue State University, Makurdi, Dr. Terngu Anule. We appreciate your thoughts, Dr. Anule.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
That's our program for today. Join us next week, Monday, for another edition of Perspectives. God bless you and have yourself a great weekend. I am Nathaniel Nongu. Goodbye.